Welcome back to the Road to a Million podcast. Today, I'm back with Kyle Simpson, owner of Shineco in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Kyle came on the podcast about a year ago, and he's back today. We're going to be doing a check-in episode, just kind of talking about what things changed in 2025 compared to 2024, and then what he's thinking about and looking to be doing in 2026. Kyle, thanks for coming on and for always keeping it real. Really enjoyed this episode. Hope you guys do too. Don't forget, you can use the timestamps in the description to skip ahead. And without further ado, let's go right into it. All right, I'm back with Kyle Simpson, owner of Shineco. Kyle, thanks for coming back on the podcast, man. It's been over a year. Hard to believe.
When you hit me up, I was thinking there's no way this has been 12 months, but hell if it hadn't.
Yeah.
I guess we're having fun.
That's right. That's what I was saying. Yeah. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yep.
Man, I was looking at your website right before I got on here, and I was like, it looks better than last time. I don't know if that's you or Chris that's been working on some things, but you guys have been doing a good job.
Dude, they do stuff in the background all the time. I get updates and emails, and I just trust them to do their thing. And I think that's why they're the top shelf group of the industry to do what they do.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
we made edits and trimmed off a lot of the unnecessary stuff. And as funny as we do jobs, we'll have jobs that have little quirks to them, and it'll remind me to hit them up and use their 6 free hours a year of website edits to add little nuances and asterisks and things like that to help cover our tail when customers aren't happy with something.
Yeah, can you think of a specific example of what you're talking about?
Yeah, today. I literally put the edits in about 3 hours ago, and they're probably already done. But we have ceramic coating packages. So you used to, in years prior, we would everything we did was a la carte, which I thought was simple for customers. Like, all right, we'll do whatever level paint correction, and then we'll get whichever coating you want on the paint. Do you want the wheels? Yeah, and just add it all up. And what we found was some people were like, oh, I don't want to do the glass, or I don't want to do the wheels. And when I got linked up with Grant Bernard, he's like, dude, stop all that. Have packages slightly discounted from your a la carte price, but just force everybody into getting everything because it's stuff they need anyway. So in doing that, when we do a coating package, we're going to do a paint correction. We'll do a coating on the paint, wheels, trim, and glass. Well, if it's a car or if it's an SUV like a Bronco or a Jeep or like a 4Runner that's into overlanding, they all have a huge full spare that's exposed. Well, that's another wheel we need to coat. But we can't be expected to do it for free. So I added that little asterisk under our ceramic coating packages that, if you've got a full spare that's exposed and you want it coated, then we have to charge you for that.
Yeah. Now, are you taking that off?
We do because we want to polish and prep and coat behind it.
Yeah.
So the fact we're taking it off definitely means we can't coat that one for free.
Yeah.
And
that makes sense.
It's a matter of $50 to $75 for the wheel face, but still every little bit counts. And we've transitioned to complete commission in the shop now, which is pretty new. We can talk about that later. But I can't ask my guys to work for free anymore either. So
why'd you switch to commission?
Man, how long we got? We got an hour?
Yeah, as long as you need, man.
We're going into year 7 now. And every time I think I have the perfect pay scale drawn up and executed, something happens and I'm like, there was a loophole where this guy didn't make what he should have, or this guy made more than he should have, and the shop got screwed. So I've been fighting it for literally 7 years, but finally last week we did a trial run, just like a mock paycheck of doing commission, and I think it opened my guys' eyes to, wow, this is what I could make, and the sky's the limit. And the guy over here that's not really pulling his weight, he's going to make what he deserves, and I'm going to make what I deserve. And I think it's just the best way for the shop to evolve into what every shop owner wants it to be.
Yeah.
Now it's feast or famine. That puts more pressure on me, or honestly on Dustin, who's my rock star sales guy and manager up front, to, put jobs on their plate. but he's doing it. So,
Yeah.
but
What percentage commission are you paying? Is it different for each service?
it's different for each service. For basic stuff, your lower ticket items that we hate to do anyway, just to get some incentive for guys to pull off of a ceramic coating job, I pay a higher commission. So on basic washes, which are your $60 to $120 type services, I'm paying 50%, um, which is probably a little too high. But our goal, as sad as it sounds, our goal isn't to make a profit on those services. It's to get the customer in and keep seeing them and keep nurturing that relationship. So if I can break even and pay a guy 50% to wash a car, so be it.
Yeah.
Then our next step up, which is what we call a silver package, it's more of just more of a detail. We're getting in the wheel barrels and the jams, and we're putting wax on it when we're done. But it's still not detailing as you and I would prefer to have a car detailed. I pay 40% on those and 40% on all like interior work. And then when
Hmm.
we get into the ceramic coatings, um, and paint corrections, things like that, I'm paying 30%.
Hmm. What about
So
PPF?
PPF, I've got a separate guy that I just hired who's been an awesome addition to our shop. PPF, I'm paying 25% on that. And if it's a job where I help, because I enjoy doing PPF, and if I'm helping the installer, obviously it's easier on him and we have a split commission then. But I still, if I help with a job, that tech is still making 15%, which is still good because I'm doing half the work.
Yeah.
Um,
So it should be 12 and a half, but you just bump them up to 15.
yeah, the CRM or the software that we use doesn't have the ability to split a job proportionally like that. If two people are logged into the same job, it automatically does it 50-50. So it's just, we have to figure it out manually. But it's not that big of a deal. We're not, we may do 5 front clips a week at the most, one a day.
Are you using your able?
Yeah.
So it tracks it for you?
Mm-hmm. Takes probably it took me a good 3 or 4 hours to set it up. Like you go into every product and service. You use your able as well.
I don't. I use Square right now.
Okay. Um, well, you have to go into all your products and services and each job or line item or whatever billable line item that you have on invoices and set a certain commission rate to it. And then you have to assign an employee to it when you book the job. And then that employee has to clock in and out of that job. But I think it's going to work out really well.
Yeah.
Because
So
the way I was paying people before, the perfect pay scale that I thought I had is I would pay a guy an hourly rate, and that hourly rate was based off of essentially how efficient and good they were,
mhm,
which is mostly hopefully tied to their tenure and how long they've been here.
mhm,
But they would have an hourly rate that they worked from, and then I would do a shop bonus each week, which was directly related to the revenue that the shop brought in. So if we had a $25,000 week, I've got a tiered scale that says, this, and I'm just throwing these numbers out, but if we did 10 grand a week, everybody gets an extra dollar an hour. 13 grand a week, everybody gets an extra $2 an hour. And that way their bonus for the shop or the shop bonus that week is directly related to how much they pulled the rope that week, how many hours they were here. The only thing that was a little difficult with that is when we would have, like the past 2 months, we've probably done 50% of our work in PPF. So we have huge weeks dollars wise, um, in relation to what we normally do. But half of that was PPF. The other half was detail work. So my guys that work in the detail side of my shop were essentially getting paid a bonus on the PPF money that we were making. So that was a light bulb moment where I just think people should always get paid for what they do, and they shouldn't get paid for what they don't do. We finally rolled it into effect.
yeah. Yeah, I agree. That sounds good, but I could see where the issues could come up. Um, what do you pay for window tint?
We're at 30% for that.
Are you doing all that in house?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got a single bay that we built here. It's more of like a clean room type room, and we do all of our PPF and window tint there.
I remember whenever we did our first episode, you had just started doing window tint. I think you were
Yeah, we
just
started last September, and dude, man, when I look at the numbers we did this year, and we're not by any means like the top window tint shop in our area. We're on people's radar now, but there's a few other great shops that have been tinting windows for a long time. But when I look at the amount of window tint we've done this year, it makes me scared to think of like where the shop would be if we didn't bring it on last year. It's a big chunk.
wow.
And then in addition to that, what we're doing, I don't think we were even trained on this yet. Now, it wasn't even on my radar last year when we spoke, but we're doing flat glass now, which for people that might not know, that's the term for, you know, big flat pieces of glass that are in houses, buildings, restaurants, things like that. And honestly, if I could do that all day, every day, I'd shut the shop down.
That's what I've heard.
Dude, it's like once you learn how to tint curved glass on cars and you deal with windows that move up and down and you have to shrink them, when you have just a big flat piece of glass, it's just like you've entered heaven.
It is less. There's less business for that, though. I think.
There is because people don't turn over buildings and houses like they turn over cars.
Yep.
So, but we're in a very untapped market here as far as window tint in general. That's why we got into it.
So I remember last year you guys were on track to do $750,000.
Mhm.
How did the year finish up?
So we had our Q4 last year as a comparison to every other year was our worst, and it was 100% due to we had a hurricane just smoke this area, Hurricane Helene,
Hmm.
and it put basically the entire upstate just leaps and steps behind their normal way of life for a little while. So we finished the year. Let me see. I'm gonna pull it up in your able here. That's the good thing about your able is you can pull anything up anytime.
Yeah, I remember when we were talking. I think the hurricane happened like 2 weeks before we did our podcast.
Yeah,
I mean, it
I
had just
probably
happened.
still
Like I think
got
you guys
power
just got
back
your
on
power
when
back.
it's not. Yep, got a good memory. Let's see what we did last year. So January 1, 2. So we did seven. No, actually, we were way down last year. We did like 670 last year, and our goal at the beginning of the year was 750. So, but we surpassed our year to date for last year probably in August this year. So
Wow.
we're cruising now.
Are you guys gonna do 1 million this year?
We're gonna fall just short of it,
That's
just
awesome,
short
man.
of it. So we're still on the road to it.
Yeah. Next
But
year,
man, my
2026.
mindset is completely shifted as far as like every year I just want to do a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. But dude, once you get to a certain level, it's such a point of diminishing returns.
Yeah.
Um, like our payroll is like this week we've been on a really good stretch the past probably 10 weeks. We've averaged about 20 grand a week for 10 weeks now, and I bet you half of that is payroll. Every week payroll is like 10 grand, which is that's a good problem, but that's more than a lot of shops gross every week, and that's just it takes a lot to feed a monster once you make one.
Yeah, man. I totally understand. Now, do you think that with the commission structure that you can get that hopefully to where it'll come down a little bit and then you can get the revenue also at the same time to maybe go up?
Yeah. So I've always my goal has always been for payroll to be between 30 and 40% of your total revenue. I think in this industry, that's just what I learned the hard way to feel comfortable with, and then I learned that that was actually the right number that we all need to shoot for as shop owners. Um, so I think payroll will probably stay about the same, but our revenue end is going to grow on it because now all the guys are looking for upsells. They're trying to do more in the same amount of time. Also, with commission, any jobs that come back with customer complaints or anything that's not right or redos, it's now on that technician to redo it, and they have to redo it off the clock or for free. So we're not losing any time doing those, which those situations don't arise often, but they do happen. There may be a ceramic coating or two a year that you have to redo, and now those are going to be redone um, by the people that do them if they were done incorrectly. So I think it's going to help me manage that 30 to 40%, since that's how we set the job commissions up anyway.
Are you having two guys on every single one of these jobs?
So that was the biggest struggle the past 2 weeks, testing this whole commission thing out. In my mind, because I've done it, I did this solo for 10 to 15 years before I started this business and tried to scale it. Every car I did was solo. I know that I could do at least one ceramic coating job and paint correction from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. So in the perfect world, we would have one tech assigned to one car, and they walk that car through the entire process, start to finish. But then the reality of it is, it's more efficient to ceramic coat a car with three people. One wiping the product on, one or two wiping it off, and I was scared that our quality on the back end on these jobs was going to diminish a little bit. So I kind of gave my guys the choice. I try to give my guys a choice on a lot of stuff instead of being a dictator and saying it's going to be this way, or this way. I value their feedback on stuff that's going to affect them. So they've been sharing all the ceramic coating jobs. So I've got three guys that do corrections and coatings, and all three of them just do all the coating jobs together. That way, all their commission is about the same. You don't have any arguments over, oh, this guy got so many this week. This guy only got this many this week. This guy got stuck with the car that had sucky paint, and it took way longer to do than what we were charging for. Everybody's just sharing everything. So then that kind of gets the whole teamwork aspect back up where it needs to be, where it sometimes would decrease with individual jobs.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Now, do you have systems in place as far as your detailing and your ceramic coatings go, as far as like what to do when, or do you kind of just let the guys figure that out?
Are you saying like legitimate SOPs in place,
Yeah.
or we don't have anything written down? The fanciest thing we have written down is like a legitimate employee handbook, which I've got one here. I was proud of this. We got like a real handbook, but it's almost just it's more along the lines of I trained the first couple of guys how to do them. When you see this, you use this chemical. If the paint feels like this, you need to grab a clay bar and do this, just stuff like that. So I imagine they probably have a flow chart in their minds that they're seeing while they do these cars. You wash the car down, feel it. Is it gritty? Yeah, we're going to clay bar. Okay, if we clay bar, what are we doing? We have to polish the paint after that. That's how my mind works, and I imagine that's how a lot of other people's minds work as well.
Yeah.
So we do run all the cars through the same process here, generally speaking. But there's some cases where you might not have to clay bar a car because it feels perfect. So why are you going to jack the paint up for no reason?
Yeah.
Um, we use the same prep spray on every car we do. We use the same towels to wipe off. So it is pretty much systemized. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the biggest things we've struggled with putting two guys on one job is knowing like who did what.
Mm-hmm.
Like especially, I mean, the same can be true on I've seen it happen on a paint correction
Yeah.
where it's like, okay, did you polish that panel?
Yeah.
Because then what's happened is we coat the whole car,
Mm-hmm.
and you go back and you're like, why is this panel scratched?
Yeah.
And sure enough, like we forgot to do that. Like it was like, well, I thought he did it, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So I'm always curious to know whenever you're putting two guys on a job, whether it's with an interior detail, like who's doing the center console, who's doing, you know,
If you split the car
those,
in half, like who's doing the front bumper, who's doing the back bumper?
yeah,
That's what we have trouble with. Is naturally that's how the guys do it. They'll wash the cars together. They'll get them prepped. They'll dry them off, and then when they pull them into the cleaner part of the shop where we polish, naturally one guy will grab the driver's side, one guy will grab the passenger side, and that leaves like, okay, so who's doing the front bumper? Are we both doing our half of the front bumper, or is one guy doing the front bumper and the other guy's doing the back bumper? That's some things. But when we're prepping the cars for for the coating application, we call it readying it because the prep spray that we use from SB3 is called Ready. So are you ready to ready a car? When they're readying the car, they're checking it with lights anyway, just to make sure our towels aren't scratching anything in the process of getting the polish and oils off. And we'll always catch it then. Like honestly, my guys, they look at paint deeper than probably I do now, and they definitely polish more paint than I do now, and probably polish it better than I do. But I'm kind of
So
proud to say that. I'm not ashamed to say that at all.
no, man, that's awesome. Um, yeah, isn't it crazy how like tiles can scratch certain paints just from wiping
Yeah.
up polish,
Mm-hmm. And if
or
you
like
use
even
strong
just
enough prep
IPA
spray,
wiping?
yeah, I mean, if you use a strong enough prep spray too, it's kind of temporarily softening the paint. I think while it's sitting there dwelling on it. Dwell, that's a detail word, you know.
Yeah, I
Well,
hate that word.
I just say sitting on while your prep spray is chilling on the paint. It can momentarily be softening the paint up to where when you wipe it with the nicest towel known to man, it's going to scratch it. So there, we monitor the panels with LED lights. Like look at it really heavy as they go. So
Yeah.
now when we're doing ceramic coatings, they typically don't miss anything. It's when we're doing simple car washes or simple details. Like if we've got 3 or 4 guys piled on a wash, that drives me insane because we'll probably spend 30 minutes on a car wash with 3 guys on it. Honestly, one guy can do that in 45 minutes with
Yeah.
less labor hours.
So do you just do one man details?
Yeah, 1 to 2. We don't have any more than 3 people on a car.
Yeah.
3 is where it starts getting hairy and confusing and wondering if this guy did this or this guy did this. So,
Well, I was talking with one of my guys, Blake, and we were just discussing the systems, and we were like, man, should we have like a better system for, because there's so much of detailing, at least for us, it's case by case. So if it's colder outside, like we're a lot more diligent about shampooing things from the beginning, or like if a car comes in and it's got a giant mess in the center console or a spill, like we're a lot of the times going to attack that first. Or if a car
mm-hmm.
comes in and it's not that, there's not like a lot of loose stuff to vacuum, we won't even do our first vacuum. We just skip it and move right on to something else.
Yeah,
And so it's like sometimes we think, do we need to have a better system where you start with the door, you wipe the door down, you do it this particular way. We use a scrub pad, you spray an all-purpose cleaner, you wipe it up, you air compress all the cracks and crevices, and then you go to the seal around the door, and then you move into the plastics on the interior, and then you wipe down the seatbelt, and like that way you don't get things missed as much,
yeah,
because we were just finding like as you're kind of hopping around
yeah.
situation by situation, it's easier to miss things.
The way we tackle interiors, I think this is probably how they still do it, is we'll pull it in, yank all the mats out, pressure wash those, vacuum and whatever they need based off the condition or the service. And we'll go straight to vacuuming the carpet first and foremost. If it's dirty, if it's not dirty, we'll go ahead and knock the carpet down. After we make a lap around vacuuming it, we'll probably have 2 guys on it. One guy will do the driver's side, one does the passenger side, and you'll basically just do each seat area in its entirety, top to bottom, inside and out. So you would wipe the dash on the driver's side, steering wheel, gauges, center console, door panel, seat belts, all that. Shut the door, done. Move the back seat, do it. Then when we get done, we'll do a final vacuum of it because there's always something that falls back on the carpet while you're wiping things. And once the final vac is done, we'll clean the glass, pull it outside, inspect it, or they're supposed to inspect it, and then it's done.
Well, what do you mean supposed to?
We get so tunnel vision. We'll park a car, and if it's like lunchtime and the guys are in a hurry to go meet somebody for lunch, and I've done it too. You'll park the car, not give it a walk around, go inside, toss the keys to Dustin, and say it's done. And then customer picks it up and sees something they don't like, and then Dustin up front, who's not a detailer, but helps us out whenever we need it, then it's his job to fix it when they get here. So that's something I harp on that we're getting better and better at is, you know, especially with commission. If you do the job, you pull the car out, you walk around it. It's your job to take pride in if it's right. It's your job to fix if it's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I just ask myself, like, there's a certain level of error that's going to occur no matter what. And I think that you can help reduce that or prevent it by having a quality control check
Yeah.
process, whether it's pulling it outside to inspect it yourself or having someone else come and look at it.
Mm-hmm.
But so I wonder, like, how much better could the job be? How much less mistakes could be made by having like a super strict standard operating procedure, or how much of it is just going to be inevitable and we just need to live with it and need to have someone double check it, or you double check it in the sunlight and like make sure we're checking, maybe even have like a list to go over 5 most commonly missed areas on
Mm-hmm.
the car's interior. Can we check every box here?
Yeah. So we tried that. Your Able has a built-in checklist and like an inspection section of it, which we have to create. We create all the bullet points on it, and whoever's assigned to the job has to check them. We were spending so much time on the inspection process, the documentation side of it, like checking all the boxes, that it started turning into literally just checking the boxes. To get a job done, boom, 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 boom. Probably didn't do any of this stuff, but I got to click them for the job to be finished.
Yeah.
And then if you add that time up times X amount of cars a week times X amount of weeks a year, I've found, or it's my opinion, that it's good just to still give it a walk around, mentally okay it, and just fix issues as they arise.
Yeah.
If you weigh the amount of time you spend on the inspections and checking all the boxes, that time is way more than the time you would spend just fixing issues as they do arise. That's the reason my shop does not do inspection forms at drop off. A lot of shops do. A lot of people have made really cool inspection forms to note damage and make notes here and there. But that's probably a 5 to 10 minute process for somebody to do on every car. If you do 5 to 10 minutes a car times however many times how many cars you do in a year, and figure out what that time's worth, that cost is always going to be more than the cost of fixing things as they break, or um, fixing things that we are blamed on breaking. Because you'll have thousands of dollars at the end of the year in pre-inspection forms. We'll probably have a few $100s a year in fixing things as they break. So
Yeah.
I'm way different than a lot of people. And I'm sure we're going to have a situation one day where a car comes in with somebody that sets us up and blames us for something that's very expensive to fix, and we get screwed on it. But we've also got our camera system. So my guys are really good at, whenever they're doing a detail, if they notice something really weird on a car, they'll make a note of it. They'll say something. They'll even like find the camera, like, hey, camera, see me, scratch. You know, they'll note it the minute they see it in a form that's easy to trace and show the customer that we knew about it. We didn't do it. So
Yeah. I
I'm,
like that.
as you can see, I'm not real big on inspection, pre-inspection, post-inspection paperwork.
Well, how many things can't you see? Can you not see because the car's dirty?
A lot of things, honestly. Yeah, we had to pay for a BMW door to get painted probably 2 years ago, and our camera, like, we knew the scratch was there. We didn't tell the customer prior, like we should have. But I mean, we have these cars come in that there's scratches all over them. But the customer picked the car up, they go straight to this scratch, almost like they knew it was already there to look for it, blamed us for it. We're like, no, we'll pull it up on our cameras, we'll show you it was there. And sure enough, the car was too dirty to tell, and we ended up, paying for a painted door. But that was $600. That's the only thing that we had to fix all of last year, I think, and that's cheaper than the time invested in pre-inspection forms.
Yeah. But like, what are you going to do? Fight this person over it? You know, like even
Yeah.
if you did, somehow try to zoom in on the camera on it, like there's just some cases where you make it right because the customer
Yeah,
asked you to. It's part of doing business.
99% of the time the customer's always right. Um, and usually we don't see those people again, so they're not an issue.
Yeah. Yeah. We've definitely had situations like that happen too. What did you learn from winter of 2024, 2025? Like December, January, February, that you want to do differently this year?
That's our. If we were to have a slow season, that's our slow season. I think that's probably everybody's slow seasons, especially in you know areas that have winter, have a real winter. Um, we're going to better prepare for it this year, and the way that we're doing it is we're running specials and sales right now. Um, like we got a Black Friday sale that we started this week that we're going to run all through next week and maybe the week after, where you book whatever service it is. It's slightly discounted, but it's discounted in a way where it doesn't cost us much more money, but it gives the customer a lot more value, so they're saving money. So we do ceramic, like a 5-year ceramic coating package for the price of what we charge for our 2-year ceramic coating. Doesn't cost us that much more in product, but it saves the customer a lot of money. So we'll run specials like that where we can still be profitable. We'll require a deposit to be put down now, and we require them to book that job before March 1st. So we're loading up our dead season with with good profitable work that we want to do. Every year it slips up on me, and we're kind of slow through those areas. And I realize I didn't plan to book big jobs during those times. So that's how we're going to do it this year. I think this week Dustin probably sold 10 or 15 prepaid or deposited jobs that the people are going to book in Q1 of next year.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing I think, and it every year it just sneaks up on me.
Yeah.
You're like I'm in the thick of it every day. I get out there and I help wash cars, run down to the store to pick up chemicals that we might run out of, and when you do all that every single day, things slip up on you. You don't have time to prepare, but we did this year.
Yeah.
What
How
about
much
you?
PPF are you
What do you
doing?
learn?
Well, one thing is PPF, and that's what I was going to ask you is how much PPF you're doing. But I've heard PPF it's a little bit more steady in the wintertime.
So that's something to make note of. This is our first year of seeing the full cycle of the tent wave. Busy seasons, non-busy seasons, and all these guys like our tent rep Garrett, who works for Tent Club, who's awesome. All of our other tent friends around here that have tent shops are like, wait for it. In October, early November, it's going to die. I'm like, nah, no way. Sure enough, tent jobs went from here just way down. But PPF is always there. Now, PPF is really here at the end of the year and the beginning of the year because you got business owners that habitually buy cars as tax write offs at the end of the year, or at the beginning of the year, they've just bought their car previous year. And what's the first thing they want to do to it to protect it
PPF.
because they're turning it back in the next year or the year after at the dealership? They want to do PPF. So we've been smoked with PPF for probably 6 weeks now.
Yeah, and you're doing most of those PPF jobs.
Yeah, I'm not fully. Me and my film installer Cole, we're both splitting them 50-50.
Did you have coal last year?
Yeah, well, we had a different Cole. There was another guy named Cole that worked here. He was my manager, and he since left on and started his own thing. So that's just what happens sometimes. People kind of outgrow having a boss, or they want to try to do things for themselves. So he left a few months ago, and I think he's doing well. And we hope he keeps doing well. But ironically, the person that we hired to do window tint and film to fill in his absence is also named Cole. So,
So the new Cole does tint and PPF.
yep, he's a 10-year tint installer. He's been doing PPF for probably 3 or 4 years. He also does flat glass, and we didn't know this when we hired him, but he also does PDR, which is awesome
Wow.
to have in house. We've always subbed that out, and we'll continue to still sub it out because we have a really, really awesome PDR tech that comes by that's pretty much like family to us. But at least Cole can handle the little stuff that the other guy probably doesn't want to be bothered with.
Yeah.
So
What do you see as far as the um like do you feel like he can do a good job with PPF and tent, or do you feel like he's more skilled in one of those two? Does he seem to have more strengths in one of those two?
he's definitely more skilled in window tint. Like he's so far, he's been like a. I mean, I won't say 10 out of 10 because that's perfect, but I would say a strong 9 out of 10 on window tint. There's only been, you know what, in 5 weeks, I can't think of a single piece of film he's had to throw away. Which film window tint cost is irrelevant. This is just speaking to his skill level. Not a single piece of film thrown away. Not a single mess up on the printer. And he's only had to redo one windshield for a very, very, very picky like hair that was dead in your eyesight that I probably would have been fine with driving in my personal car. So he's had one redo in that long. I would say his PPF skills are right up there with mine, which I'm not saying I'm a rock star, but we do well enough PPF jobs here to where we're not redoing things or having complaints. So I can cut him loose and let him do what he wants to do all day and literally not worry about it. It's just it's the hustler in me that still wants to get in there and lay film every day. But I'm not touching window tint anymore. If I do, it's just to kind of keep my skills high enough to do it if I have to.
Why is that? Why aren't you touching it anymore?
I want him to make full commission on his jobs,
Yeah.
um, and we can get in each other's way. He can tint so fast and shrink film so fast that he'll have 6 windows done in the time I've done two. And then, why are we splitting that job 50-50? He just did 80% of the car. So that was our deal. I would let him tint everything by himself. If he needs help, setting a windshield up in the car or help with anything, I'm there. I can help print film off for him through the plotter if he needs to, but I'm going to let him lay it if he wants to. And really with the PPF too, he wants to do solo work as well. So he's able to do that if he needs to.
When did you guys learn window tint and PPF? Like when did you go to training for it?
We were trained in PPF 2 years ago. See, yeah, 2 years ago, uh, in September of 23, and then we did window tint training last September, so September 24. So we did PPF a year later. We brought in window tint, and it was all through our PPF rep at the time was a guy that I mentioned earlier, Garrett Wilson. He was a rep with KDX, and I met him through. We had a dinner for our local FCA program. We try to be charitable different ways like that. And I went to an FCA dinner, and he was sitting right beside me. And it was almost like God orchestrated us sitting together at that dinner for that reason, because he became my rep and now one of my best friends. He left KDX and went to Tent Club, which is a newer brand but phenomenal film at a great price. And when he went to Tent Club, he's like, all right, y'all are well versed and well trained in PPF. You need to get the third part of the trifecta down. You need to learn window tint. So he taught us, he trained us, and then after we learned auto, we learned flat glass, which is a walk in the park when you do it in that order. And he purposely did that for us.
Yeah. So looking back, um, window tint in the beginning, like paint protection film, is really it can be challenging. There can be a lot of redos.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to redo tint because the material is less. With PPF, it's very painful to have to redo.
You're like, there's no way I'm ripping this off. We're going to get that hair out. We're going to get that bubble out. With tin, it's just like, rip the shit off, redo it.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter.
yeah. But looking back, um, is there anything that you would have done done differently, or I don't know, just how do you think about that? Like looking back and just with quality and versus staying sane and being able to still turn a profit on it. And
I wish we would have been trained in. I wish we'd have been trained in bulking PPF and also hand cutting window tint. I'm a big fan of learning things the more difficult way first.
Mm.
and then jumping right into doing it the easy way and cruising. Like when I first drove the very first car I learned to drive was a '68 Z28 with a hot motor and a 4-speed and a stiff clutch and no power steering. Once I mastered that, every car on the road was easy. Going back, I kind of wish we would have got our feet wet in PPF and window tint with more of the hand cutting and bulking game, because it's a lot harder to learn those two after you've been spoiled by a printer.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. One of the things we did that I learned from Grant Menard was have a guy come in as a contractor. So it required a little bit of research to find a guy that was willing and able to come out 1 or 2 days a week at a specific day and time every week, and we would have him just like help us like ongoing kind of training, but
With film or just shop
with
stuff?
PP with tint. We haven't done PPF yet,
Okay.
just with tint.
Okay.
So um, Grant did that for like 2 days a week for both PPF and tint, and so the guys could kind of watch how someone that was more experienced how they did it, and if we had issues, the guy that was more experienced that ran his own business, he was just a contractor, he would just redo it and get it done the right way. What ended up happening was we ended up hiring the contractor full time.
Just subbing out to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm a big fan of just making a little bit of free money than making the more difficult, harder to get larger money.
hmm,
So we were the same way. We used to sub out our PPF work. We didn't do tint at all, but it was like, hey, it's free money. I didn't do anything for it, but I wanted to eventually bring in the skills, learn how to do it, make all the money.
yeah,
So,
yeah, you said you were doing like sometimes 5 front ends a week,
mm-hmm.
so like one a day.
Yeah, one a day. One a day is good. We've done, we could probably knock three out a day between me and Cole. Honestly, that's getting it all laid. You can't heat seal dry everything out the door that quick, but we could probably lay 3 front clips a day, spend 2 hours the next morning trimming, heat sealing, popping bubbles, getting out the door. But I would say we've probably done 30, 35 front clips past 5 weeks.
How are those customers finding you?
I wish I had a really good. They come from so many different places. We've grown our customer base pretty large now, so we can almost survive off of not gaining any more new customers as long as we take care and nurture the ones we have and we don't lose any.
Yeah.
But these people just, people keep buying new cars. They get rid of the old ones that we've already done a PPF job on. They get their new cars, first thing they do. But getting new clients, we do a lot of SEO stuff that Chris's company does with Detailer's Roadmap. We've also got a really good location that's near some of our dealerships in town. So we get a lot of jobs just from people passing by. I think 45, 50,000 cars drive by the shop every day, according to the traffic count. And then one new thing that we did is we actually took an old school approach and joined in with our local broadcast company, and we shot a couple of commercials and we just air them on local cable TV.
Yeah, I saw that you were on TV on your Instagram. How's that been?
That was good. So with this commercial package, they'll shoot a commercial for you, they'll air it. You can kind of pick and choose what your time slots are. We pick the morning, lunch, and evening news. That's kind of our. It seemed like a good demographic to get a hold of. People that are wanting to stay well informed with the world and the news and all that. So we get a lot coming in from that. But with that, I think this package came with once every 6 months or so, I can go on like the live news and talk for a few minutes about whatever we want to talk about or push. So we've had a ton of people book jobs that mention, "Hey, I saw you on TV," and I guess old school stuff still works really well.
Yeah. Do you mind sharing how much that cost you guys to do?
It's about $1,500 a month, which that's one ceramic coating job.
Yeah.
Which I know you're not. The goal isn't to break even. So many people say, "Oh, I sell one job; it was worth it." No, it wasn't. But if you sell five, it's probably worth it. Sell 10, it was definitely worth it.
And then also the repeat business or the referrals from that person.
Mm-hmm.
So
We're,
anyone that they bring in is
yeah,
basically free.
I'm still a huge fan of growing organically, and we might have hit on this last year. I can't remember, but I fought it. I wanted to. It was almost like a flex or something I could puff my chest up about, saying, "Oh, we don't advertise," and that got us through 5 years. We made it 5 years without any kind of advertising, other than shirts and hats that people buy from us or we give away, or seeing our sign out on a busy road. But about year 6, I wanted to take it to another level, and eventually you have to spend money to get those extra people in the door. But I would much rather, keep growing organically through existing customers and tapping into their layer of friends, and then of that layer of friends get a customer that introduces us to a whole new layer of people. I mean, it's just like a crazy web when you sit back and look how customers are connected, and how this person talked to this person, and then they're responsible for 10 details, and then within that circle that person was responsible, and it's infinite.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool when you think about it like that. And when you start, I don't know at what year it is, maybe like year 3 or 4 that you start really seeing the repeat business start to stack
Mm-hmm.
up.
Yep.
And that's really cool to see because you're like, oh wow, like if I take care of people, and they enjoyed our service, we made them feel good and took care of them, then they're going to come back. And it may not be this year, they may get a new car in 3 years to have it ceramic coated and PPF'd again, but
Yeah.
then the business becomes a lot more sustainable.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I would much rather continue business with somebody who already I know their quirks, I know their jobs, I know their kids, than learning. I mean, I love having new people in, but if we could keep like the same 500,000, however many customers we've got, and just keep servicing them and getting tighter with those people, that would be perfect world to me.
Yeah. We actually just bought out another detailer's book of business,
Hmm.
and he's been doing PPF, and well, he hasn't been doing PPF specifically, but he's been doing detailing, ceramic coating, PPF. Like his business has been around for 15 years since 2010, and he was one of like the OGs that got into PPF
Mm-hmm.
back in at least here in Springfield, like back in like 2014. But he's stepping out, going to be an EMT, and so he's going to be referring all of his customers to us, and we purchased his 4-post lift and another plotter. So now we've got 2 plotters because we've been doing window tint,
Yeah.
but now that we're getting into PPF, we're gonna have a separate plotter just for PPF.
Yeah. Have a small one so you're not swapping blades out.
Yeah,
We had our room where we do PPF. It's kind of cramped now. We got toolboxes and printers and film racks, and it's crazy how a 30 by 20 room can just, the walls can close in on you so fast. But 2 printers is a game changer.
yeah, that's what Jeremy, that owner of the business we're buying, that's what he told me. Um, and we're also hiring one of his employees.
That was my next
Um,
question: is did any people come with that? So
yep.
how do you
So,
put a value on somebody's list of contacts? Really, how did y'all come up with that?
well,
Was it just an expensive lift?
yeah, no. So for accounting purposes, you have to, that's goodwill. So from what my accountant told me, you cannot depreciate the entirety of that customer list in 1 year like you can with other assets. You can't do an accelerated depreciation. You have to amortize it over 15 years, which
Okay.
is kind of crazy. So it's a very small piece every year that we get to depreciate or
Yeah.
amortize, I guess is what it's technically called. Um, but yeah, we kind of split it up. It was we just split it up. Like the assets are worth this much, and then we figured the customer list, and like I think that this is something we should all be thinking about as we're growing our business. And it was definitely true when I was purchasing Jeremy's book of business, is like, how much is the business you versus how much is the business, like, are you creating a system to where the customers maybe are going to be a little upset that you're stepping away,
Mm-hmm.
but like because they trust you and the system you've built, the business you've built, like they're still going to, if you put someone in place that's still going to uphold the same values as you, they're still going to stay on board with that, you know. So I think a lot of value in a business like that, like this, is determined based on the person itself. So that's where I was like, Jeremy, I need you to stay on board, do like consulting for the next year. Like we need to make sure
Yeah.
that
He needs to
this
get
isn't just a
liaison here and hand people off to you. It can't.
exactly.
Here's my list. Take care of them. People do business with people.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't mean to forget, but I do forget sometimes. Like even like every day, people call the shop, and Dustin, who is up in the lobby and is our shop manager now, he keeps the phone on him, and probably 40 to 50% of people, the first thing is, can I speak to Kyle? And I'm usually in the back, and I don't mind talking to people, but if I stop 5 to 10 times a day to talk to people, I'm losing 2 hours of work that we need to bill for. So he's kind of my gatekeeper, and it's usually something simple like, how much is a detail, or when can I get in for this? I mean, it's stuff that he's capable of answering, but people do get attached to people, and they want to talk to the person that owns the business.
Yeah. And it's very common when you sell your company that you stay on for like a year or two. Very common.
Yeah, that is the reason. They don't want to feel like it's a completely brand new business. They want to have a familiar face.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you do a good job with, like, I even think about this sometimes with our detailing customers. It's like Austin's been detailing for Kim for one of our best customer for 4 years. Like he's the one that has a relationship, but he's like introduced her to our other guys. And so now if he's not available and he needs to send someone else, like at least she's seen their
Yeah,
face, you know, and she
yeah,
trusts them because Austin trusts them.
yeah. See,
So
Dustin's done such an awesome job with. I hear this. I hear this all the time. Like people will go out of their way to tell me, like that guy there, he's awesome because he's good with people, talks great with people. He's there. It's a low to no pressure conversation every time he talks to a customer. He gets to know people, their jobs, their kids, their football teams, their basketball teams, all that. Now, when people call, not many people ask for me anymore. Some people, sometimes I'll answer the phone because he's at lunch and they don't want to talk to me. They want to talk to Dustin.
that's
And
cool.
I was like, this is awesome. This is what I've been hoping would eventually happen. And
Yeah.
when I say that, I don't want to come across as like I don't want to talk to people. It's just I'm back here trying to physically make money all day and pay him to do that because he's better at it than me and I'm
Yep.
better at that than he is. So I try to put us all in position to where we can have the most success, and eventually people I think will accept that they can call somewhere and somebody other than the owner can get them booked.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's like family, man, you know, like it's not just going to be, I mean, most of the time it's not just going to be, you know, one person you're interacting with. You're interacting with a family, and a
Yeah,
business is that. And so you can trust, if they trust you, then they probably trust that you would hire someone that shares similar values to you and runs the business similarly, and probably does a better job at that particular role that you're hiring them for than you do, like you were
yeah,
saying.
hmm yeah.
And it's a little
There's no
uncomfortable
way
at
that
first,
you would
but
do as many front clip PPF jobs if I was the one up there behind the counter in the lobby.
now, did you have Dustin last year?
I did. Dustin's been with us for 2.5 years now.
Okay.
He started in a sales marketing is what we called it, but he would handle the lobby, customer drop offs, pickups. He would run our social media, and he would be the point of contact for selling anything or trying to do upsells. That's still his job, but he also took on the role as manager because it kind of evolved into that anyway because he was so hands on in everything that he was, without realizing it, managing the shop. And when Cole left to start his own thing, I transitioned to him into Cole's spot as manager, and now Dustin's he's got a lot more on his plate and paying him more. and he's been a rock star at it.
Do you think that that is that is like the way to create job functions roles for that role? Like it's like a sales guy and a manager. Like it's like does it need to be both?
I think it just depends on how your shop's set up. Um, on paper, it seems like it would be too much for one person to handle, but I think it's just enough for one person to handle in our situation. Sometimes I do wish on certain days, definitely, there's not a need for it all the time, but there's some days where I feel like he's spread pretty thin with answering the phones. He's got somebody standing in front of him at the lobby. He's got three guys in the shop that he needs to kind of figure out who's doing what and assign to jobs. And I'll get in and help with all that because why wouldn't I? But it is probably a lot for one person to take on.
Yeah. But
Um,
that's the constant battle of a small business is like not having enough money. Like you're already at 50% payroll. You can't afford to hire someone just
right.
to do.
Yeah, there's if I hired somebody that their only job was to sit at the lobby and check people in and out, they'd be working 10% of the day and doing what the rest of the day.
Yep.
So we just try to I create jobs or job titles with descriptions, and if that job doesn't have enough to do all day, then we'll just keep putting things on people so they stay busy. And then before you know it, we've got this hybrid position that's a manager, but he's also customer service, but he's also sales. And but I give him a percentage of everything that comes in the shop, so there's incentive for him to do everything plus more.
Yeah. What was it that stood out about him? Like whenever you were hiring him, and even to like this day, like what do you think makes that work for him?
His strong his strong attribute is probably he's got good people skills. He can talk to anybody. He can level up with somebody in a white collar, or he can get eye level with somebody that's blue collar living paycheck to paycheck. He can make people laugh. He makes people feel comfortable. Makes people feel like the crazy uncle they didn't have or something like that. So jokes around with people, makes them laugh. Um, and like I said earlier, when he's talking to people about things we do, it's always like a really low to no pressure situation. He just lets them know, hey, here's what we have. Here's why I think you need it. Here's what it costs. If you don't want to do it, cool. But if it was me, this is what I would do. And he's kind of been self taught and all that, I think. He before he came here, he knew nothing about detailing other than what most average men know about washing cars. He had a strong background in sports, team, managing people at previous jobs. So he had all that. He just had to learn, the I'll say this,
The
just
detailing and PPF and ceramic coating terminology and
general knowledge that we've got with everything that we do here.
yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot. Like that's one of the things I have heard from people that hire, or maybe they've struggled with hiring, like a sales guy, is like if you're not in the industry, it's really hard to set expectations with customers
Mm-hmm.
and explain to these customers, um, the service. It's really easy to over promise and under deliver when you don't know anything about it. Like think about ceramic coatings.
Yeah, because you want to tell
You know
customers what they want to hear, which
exactly.
that it's naturally easy to fall into the overpromise category on that and underdeliver on the back end.
Yeah,
But very
exactly.
rarely does he come across anything where he doesn't know the exact answer to tell somebody or set the exact expectation up front for anything that we're doing. So he like when I'm if I'm going on vacation or going somewhere with my kids or wife or whatever, I can trust that he's he's got his hands on everything perfectly.
So you mentioned that it's just been tough to some extent with having payroll as high as it is, and I know the commission change is trying to mitigate that. Um, and like I was even telling my brother the other day, it's like I'm okay with us being above average on the percentage of our revenue that goes to payroll. I'm good with that. I would actually rather it be. I would 100% rather it be over than under. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like me making all this extra profit. Like, no, let's take care of the guys.
Yeah.
Everything else, God will work out everything else. Let's take care of the guys. But it also has to be sustainable. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I don't know. How do you think about that? Like the commission structure, the change in that, I think will hopefully help its way out. But like, are you still planning on growing going forward, or have you adjusted how you think about growth?
I mean, I think the commission is going to work all of that out. With guys getting paid on what they do and don't get paid on what they don't do. If a guy's making killer money, it's because the shop made killer money for him to be able to get his cut, which is good. So I'm the same mindset. I want my guys to make what they want to make to live a good life, enough to have a family, start a family, buy a house, buy cars, like live well. And when I sit back and look, um, like my wife is a pharmacist at a local hospital system, and some people that work with her is like a pharmacy tech, which, in the grand scheme of things, some people would argue is a much more important job than somebody that details cars. You could definitely have a higher chance of ending somebody's life if you don't count something correctly. Or my guys make more than than somebody like that makes with no schooling, with a laid back atmosphere, with a you know a boss that, hey, I got to leave and go get a haircut. All right, whatever, cool. It's a good balance of making good money and still having a good, enjoyable environment to work in. But I'm the same, man. There's even some weeks where it creeps above 50%, and it'll stress me out a little bit because we'll have these killer weeks, and then payroll is so high, our bank account never grows or grows just slowly. And it's like, where's all this money go? And then you look at the number one expense. It's not your mortgage. It's not materials. It's not PPF rolls. It's labor.
Yeah.
I mean, by far.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone wants to talk about how to save some money on chemicals. It's like, man, that stuff is
No,
dimes.
that's not even worth the airspace in your mind to.
Yeah.
It's this tire shine's $40 a gallon. You need this over here is 26 a gallon. Just buy the one you can get your hands on the fastest.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Now PPF materials it is expensive. Like that's a little bit more.
Yeah, you've
Um
got some lower brands that want to roll it out. It's like $700 a roll, and then you've got some higher end brands that are $1,500 a roll. Um, but I think if you can stay in that like $5 a square foot range, and it's a good quality film, and you don't throw a lot of it away, and you're really good at playing Tetris on the on your cut boards, you don't have to worry much about that either.
yeah. Yeah, and I oftentimes think going back to the percentage of revenue that your payroll is, um I often think if every guy was doing it solo, if they were doing solo jobs, I think that our percentage of payroll or percentage of revenue that went to payroll would be less. But I also think that it's a balance between like the camaraderie that I think is created with having a team
Mm,
and two-man jobs
yeah.
that I think that if handled properly, because it can get out of, we've had it happen where you can get a little bit too lax, hanging out with all your buddies
Hmm.
and the job's not getting done. So like that's a fine balance.
Yep.
Um, but also it's cool to detail with someone else, and have someone else that you're able to
Yeah.
talk with and share this experience with versus just doing everything by yourself all day.
Yeah, and that was internally one of the biggest struggles that I had with this. I didn't talk to the guys about it much, but you know, week one, week two of if a guy had just solo ceramic coating jobs, they've got their earbuds in and they're polishing paint. At some point, whether it's week three, month three, whatever, your job just starts sucking. Like you're not talking to anybody all day, you're just working all day. And I get that. Like I don't mind the guys cutting up, having fun, camaraderie. Look at this reel, whatever. What I mind is when they are working on a car as a team. Two guys are busting their tail, and one guy's like hiding on the other side of the car where I can't see them from my viewpoint, just playing on their phone. But I got to trust that the other guys are going to keep them in check. So
Yeah, I agree, man. And yeah, I think about it really is a fine balance, and I'm not sure yet what the answer is to balancing like efficiency and quality while also having that team feel, family feel. Um, I'm not sure what that looks like yet, like optimized.
Yeah,
But I know it's not just solo jobs all day long, earbuds in, no, don't talk to anyone
yeah.
from the start of the day to the
I
end.
mean, I did that on my own before I started the business, but I did that because I wanted to do that. I wasn't working in somebody else's backyard detailing cars by myself. It was my backyard. It was my time. I chose to do that, so I got accustomed to it. But I always want the jobs and the work days to be enjoyable. I mean, it's not easy. That's why we pay people. If this was fun and good for your health and all this, we might not even have to pay people. So there's got to be a little bit of discomfort in this in exchange for making a good wage. And but yeah, I'm completely with you. I think we're just going to stick with doing commission. Let the guys decide how they want to split the jobs up, depending on how the day presents itself. Keep the whole big team oriented aspect of the shop going, and hopefully everybody pulls their weight equally.
Yeah. Well, one last question I wanted to ask you, kind of off topic, but related to window tint. Um, how much of your percentage of sales has window tint become now?
Well, let's look that up. So we've been doing it for a full year. Um, Products and services. Wow. So we are year to date. Let's see. I'm in the wrong year. Give me 1 second. I'm going to guess 20% before I actually look at the number here. But we'll just go back to January 1st. All right, so year to date this year, we're sitting at 733 total revenue. Um, window tint. Okay, I was a little bit off. So about 150 of that is window tint.
It's close. It's really close, man.
But
Um,
that number scares me. If we don't have window tint, we're behind. We're moving backwards as a company, numbers wise, and
yeah,
that's what's helped us grow.
yeah. How much of that is carbon film versus ceramic film?
Let's see if I can break that down here. Well, I kind of know that number off the top of my head. I would say 60% of jobs do carbon, 40% do ceramic.
What's the difference in your price point for like a sides and back?
If we do two fronts, so our most popular window tint service here is two fronts. I think that's literally the easiest thing to sell anybody with any car, especially if you don't have any money in getting them to the shop. Like they're here for a detail already, so your acquisition cost is zero with that customer for window tint.
Yeah.
We do 120 for two fronts for carbon. We do 180 for two fronts in ceramic.
Okay.
So, like if a sedan costs $300 to tint in carbon, we're $400 to tint it in ceramic.
Yeah.
So
All
roughly,
sides and back.
yeah.
That's
When
exactly what we are.
Yeah, and we're windshields. We do $200 for carbon windshields, $300 for ceramic. That's the one that's hard to justify. Somebody's like, well, it almost costs as much to tint my windshield as it does my entire Honda Civic. Yeah, come spend some time with us and watch how long it takes to do one.
Yeah. And just the risk of contamination, having to do redos, and
The redo is the biggest thing. Like you'll have 20 minutes in prepping that windshield if you're quick. That's printing it out, weeding it out, shrinking it, rolling it up, just to get it up there and see a crease or a hair, and then you rip it off and redo it. Side windows are a lot easier to redo.
yeah,
Windshields, you got to charge a high price because there are a lot that you have to redo.
yeah. And how much of your window tint has been flat glass?
I can tell that pretty easy. So we've done 40 grand in flat glass this year.
Wow, man, that's a lot of flat glass.
Yeah, and honestly, we haven't put any effort at all into growing that side of the business. There's a few reasons for that. Flat glass jobs up until I just brought on our 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 new employee Cole. Every flat glass job we do, I'm out of the shop and on that job, which I do not like leaving my shop. It's my baby. I also have another employee named Irvin who's been here for 5 years now, who's a rock star in like everything we do. He's trained on flat glass, so it's usually me and him leaving to go do that stuff. But because it's such a pain packing everything up in my truck and making sure we've got everything and driving there and then unloading it, it's almost like mobile detailing. But imagine doing mobile detailing from your shop and you don't have a mobile rig set up. It's not fun packing up to go do one job. So we're gonna put some serious effort into that this year. I've got a vehicle I've purchased that we're gonna use just specifically for window tint flat glass, and that's just because I got tired of putting my film handler and film and our toolbox and scaffolds and all that in the back of my pickup truck.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully, whenever you get it set up in the van or whatever vehicle it is, like, and you're just ready to go, it'll be a lot less stressful.
Yeah. What I did is I see a lot of people do Sprinter vans or the mid top, Nissan NV vans. I wanted something low maintenance that will go forever, so I just bought like a 2010 Chevy Suburban. Lay the
Hmm.
back seat down. That'll hold 72-inch rolls of film. I can put a shelf in the back. I can use it for family vacations if I need to. We can use it to run people around town and as a loaner. It's going to be a good versatile multi-use vehicle for the shop. But now that we've got that on the way and we'll set it up for tent, we're going to try to turn the spigot on full speed for that.
Well, I think one of the nice things about having all these different services now is it does help. Like you mentioned, it's kind of scary if you think about without having window tint, but it's like I think that's just the way that this business works is it's like different services kind of ebb and flow. Like I was looking at one of our largest customers that we detail for, which is Bass Pro Shops. And we detail for the photography team over there. They have brand new boats come in and they just need like the dust knocked off of them and like the
Yeah.
trailers have mud on them from transport
Mm-hmm.
and their photos capture everything. So they need like it just looking pristine. Um, but like that account was down a little bit, year to date. But it just goes up and down and like having these different services balances that out, and that's okay.
Yep. And you've got to be able to evolve. So if you see one area of your shop hurting, the other area kind of picks up, or you bring in something new, like we did with all of our window tint stuff.
Yeah. And I like how Chris DiGiovanni is always talking about like not getting rid of detailing. And I think it's really easy for a lot of shops, I think you've seen this, to get rid of it, because it's not the highest profitable service, but it's there as like your get to know me service and it's consistent. And so I think it's a bad idea to take that out, man. I think it's worth keeping
It's
it
a
in.
very bad idea, even if it doesn't make money, even if it breaks even. That's not your bread and butter, but it's your residual stuff that keeps your customers in, keeps them in your lobby. It brings your customers in. Like we have people coming in for just maintenance details now that we haven't seen in 6 months, and when they're in, they're like, "Oh, I didn't know y'all did window tint." And when they're in the shop, when they're physically in the shop, they get to see everything we're doing new, and it piques their interest. And everybody's got a house with windows in it. We're having a lot of people reach out to us on that stuff when they're in just for basic washes or basic details that we're not making money on. But you can't cut that stuff out because the minute you do, that person's going to go to another shop. That shop's going to get all the work from them from then on out, especially if that shop knows where they came from. Everybody that acts like, oh, I'm buddies with this shop, I'm buddies with that shop. You are, but if the shop across town knows that one of our customers, and I say our customers like we own them, one of the customers that we have in our portfolio
I
is
know what
here
you
for
mean.
a detail, you better believe they're going to give them every bit of value that service was supposed to have, plus more.
Hmm.
They're going to show out because they want nothing more than for that customer to never come back to us.
Sure.
That's just the cutthroat part of this.
Yeah. But when you treat people like family and you take care of, your customers, your people, which I know that you guys do,
Mm-hmm.
that's evident, then, then I think that's why people keep coming back to you, year after year. And then they want to use you for your other services that you have.
Yep.
So I think that's the most important. Chris has said it on his Facebook a lot lately. Is like, you're so concerned about leads, and yet you won't call, your past customers, your top 20, and just check in on them and see
Yeah.
how they're doing.
And also, something Grant does, we both have a common denominator with Grant. He's not real big on ads. I don't think he
Hmm.
does ads at all. I know at one point he didn't. What he does is he takes that ad money and regifts his current customers. Send them a bottle of something personal, like they may have a favorite bottle of whiskey. Just send them a bottle of whiskey with a thank you note. Like, hey, hadn't seen you in a while. This isn't what this is about. Just thank you for how you blessed our shop.
Yeah.
Or tickets to their favorite team's game. And I think that money, it's arguable that that type of spending goes further than trying to acquire new customers.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially whenever it's done with a good heart and you're
Yeah,
not doing it
yeah,
to get
good with
something
a good
back.
intent. That's right.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Kyle, thanks for coming on again, man. This has been great. Best of luck just finishing up the year. It's cool to see where you guys have come from the last year, and man, let's do it again in 2026.
It'll be here before you know it. Hopefully, we'll hit the 1M mark.
Yeah. Well, that sounds good. Thanks again, man, and thanks everyone for listening.